Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council in regular session. It is Monday, September 19th, 2022, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Herrera.
Here.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Smith.
Here.
Councilor Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
And Youth Councilor Sarmiento. Here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and please all join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us on this beautiful Monday evening. We have nothing tonight under special orders of business, so we will go to committee reports, and we will lead off with the Volunteer Coordinating Committee recommendations for appointment to the Budget Committee and Planning Commission. Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, on September 8th, 2022, the Volunteer Coordinating Committee met, and they made a recommendation to appoint Marlene Parsons and Melissa Martin to positions 1 and 2, respectively, on the Budget Committee, with terms beginning September 1st, 2022 and expiring August 31st, 2025. In addition, they appointed Matt Lawyer, Sarah Hutches, and Jeremy Grentz to positions 1, 2, and 3, respectively, on the Kaiser Planning Commission, with terms beginning October 1st, 2022 and expiring September 30th, 2025. Staff recommends that the City Council accept the recommended appointments as outlined. With that, if there's any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Seeing none, Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the City Council accept the recommendation of the Volunteer Coordinating Committee and appoint Marlene Parsons and Melissa Martin to positions 1 and 2, respectively, on the Kaiser Budget Committee, terms beginning September 1st, 2022 and expiring August 31st, 2025. And Matt Lawyer, Sarah Hutchins, and Jeremy Grentz to positions 1, 2, and 3, respectively, on the Kaiser Planning Commission, terms beginning October 1st of 2022 and expiring September 30th of 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council accept the recommendations of the Volunteer Coordinating Committee as read. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. With our thanks to all the people who are volunteering for these very important committees. The 7 of us are not enough to take care of the business of the community, and we really appreciate the teamwork of the members of our committees and commissions. That is all I have under committee reports. Is there anyone here tonight who's wants to give a committee report that didn't sign up? Come on down.
Hello, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. My name is Francisco Saldivar. I'm on the Planning Commission, Commissioner on the Planning Commission. So I will provide a pretty quick report. We had a robust, I would say, discussion meeting. Was it last week? Mr. Witham gave a fabulous, to the point, very a good presentation on the parking reform that the state has mandated we make changes for. And we had some discussion on the options that we have, which we didn't have to make a recommendation to you yet. There are some things that this body will be seeing shortly. Mr. Witham is going to come back on the November meeting with some red lines of things that we absolutely have to change by there's a portion of the reform that has to be implemented by December. And so we will just discuss those changes, and then there's some that happen later in the year, depending on the outcome of our, what the city is joined that legal action to stop that reform.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for the tremendous work that is going into everything that the Planning Commission does. We just appointed, I believe they're all reappointments to the Planning Commission.
Yes.
And this is a huge lift, so I appreciate everyone who puts in the level of work necessary to wade through this voluminous new mandate, unfunded mandate from the state. Any questions from Mr. Saldivar?
Yep.
Thank you very much, and again, appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Any other committee reports this evening? All right, seeing none, then we'll go to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening. That's the Area 51 Bar and Grill Liquor License Application. So if you're here for that, stand by. And before we go to public comment, I want to acknowledge for the record an email from Amber Del Porto, representative of Kaiser. Topic is the apartment construction on River Road backing Trail Avenue Northeast. And I think most people who have been driving River Road have noticed that construction that's underway is on private property. And permits are pending, or were those issued?
The public improvement permits have been issued. I don't think the building permits for the apartments themselves have been issued yet.
Okay, so those are in progress. Okay, and those are not ones that will come to us because they're already ones that are within the purview of our development code, is that correct?
Yes, the building permits have been reviewed at the city level. They're in the county's review for the structural review. So we've reviewed the site plan and the buildings themselves.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I'm going to go to Mr. Keizer, who has come to talk to us tonight about the library and about vehicles. Come on down, sirs. Good to see you. And if you would just state your name and city of residence so it's on the record, then love to hear what you have to say.
Some of you old timers probably remember me. I served on Parks Board. And also on the Budget Committee for a couple of years. The things I guess I need to pull out my notes. The first thing I was going to talk about is vehicles. With the push for electric and the push for electric vehicles, I wanted to know what the city was doing for a charging station, as well as what can be done as far as allowing electric golf carts or even gas golf carts within the city limits. I don't know what kind of changes to the rules or what kind of the charter has in mind or whatever, but it's worked in a lot of smaller cities or golf cities in California, Arizona, Florida, and it seems like a practical solution. And in some cases, people would need only one car and a golf cart versus two cars. And I just thought it might be a good idea to at least think about it and see if there is some probability. But also with that probability, the charging stations are not for the golf carts. People would be charging those at home. More than likely. But there is going to be a national need, and I don't know if the grid is not ready for it yet, but for just the charging stations in general. I don't know if the city has done anything or if it's been discussed, either of those issues.
Okay, we will find out what we have on that and get back to you. I'm not going to put our staff on the spot to come up with that. We do have some vehicle charging stations at places, City Hall being one, and other places around town, but you're talking about capacity, correct?
I don't know.
More capacity, more charging station opportunities
Are you?
around town.
Okay.
Okay.
But the idea of golf carts, now, most of them, I think most of them in probably McNary are not street legal. There is something about making golf carts street legal, which means in most cases, or at least in the ones I've been associated with, would go up to like 30 miles an hour and be allowed on streets only under 35 mile an hour speed limit. I imagine that can be adjusted or wherever you need, but it can cross 35 mile an hour limits, and it could be for people to at least travel throughout the city. and they work pretty good. I actually replaced, when I lived in Arizona for a while, and I actually replaced one of my cars with one and used it for shopping and as well as golfing. A good side benefit.
They're good for golfing.
So, yeah, and I don't golf anymore, but I thought it'd be a worthwhile discussion for the city to have, to at least the probability that it can be further discussed at this point. And like I said, I don't know what the charter reflects or whether the laws reflect. Maybe other people have more information on that than I do.
Thank you. And the other thing you wanted to talk about was the library.
The library. My wife volunteered for the library, I think, for like 10 years. I volunteered the last 2 years. Last year, we were unceremoniously given a letter saying we no longer need your services, essentially firing us. And all volunteers, I would assume, because they said they're going in a different direction there, and apparently what's come up now is the 250 that you're looking to tack on and take it on your budget. I don't know if with all the new construction in town and with all the new things going on in town, if a librarian is needed. It was never big enough to support people. I mean, there's 5 or 6 people a day in there. I don't know if you're looking for a librarian or to fully staff it with a librarian and a paid staff, but they were never open full time. And it doesn't seem like a practical solution in this day and age to be spending money where it doesn't need to be spent. And actually, that's all I have in my, that's the 5 minutes for vehicles.
So what I would like to do, if I may, is put you in touch to get the proposal on what this fee would purchase. And it's the last piece necessary for us to then be able to declare Kaiser Community Library a public library. Right now, as you probably already know, since you have been associated with the library, there was one piece needed, and that was the public funding piece.
Currently, well, this will put us over $120 a year in surcharges for parks, police, now library. I don't know how far that's going to extend into other services and get either added to the budget or off budget. I don't know if you're still keeping those items separate from in the budget.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how far that's going to extend to keep charging surcharges to add things to the budget. With the new construction in town, with new businesses going in, new revenue for the city, it doesn't seem practical to do this. Anyway.
Appreciate your input on that, and encourage you to reach out to the Yes on Library and see what their proposal is, and absolutely ask them questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate your service, sir. Councilor Herrera?
Yeah, while we were on this, does anybody know how many charging stations we have total in Keizer?
No, we'll have to.
Can we find out?
I can try.
Get in your electric car and...
I don't have one of those. Yeah, and the one thing I will say about the charging stations, that is something that, we don't have a requirement currently at the city to require it. However, I believe it was in July, state building codes did adopt a requirement for multifamily developments to provide conduits for, I think, 20% of parking spaces that are provided for new projects, so that there can be the ability of putting in chargers down the road. I know there are some jurisdictions, cities around the nation that have mandated a certain percentage of electric charging be put in by private developers. There's a lot of other places that have gone and done public projects to do charging stations. it's just not something that we've done yet as a city. So.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And on the question of using golf carts on city streets, I know there are some pretty significant limitations on our arterials, but is that something that has been discussed before? I know there are some smaller jurisdictions that have looked at that, but a city of our size with streets as busy as ours, that's the concern is most of our arterials and collectors are over 35.
Right.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We looked into this quite a few years ago. This was a request, not for all of the city, but a portion of the city for folks that live close to the golf course to not have to put their cart on a trailer. And we are pretty constrained by state statute as far as what we could do. But I will check into that and get back to the gentleman and give him what I can find out.
Okay, and we have his mailing address. Do you have an email, sir?
Yes.
If you would give that to Ms. Davis, then we'll be able to email you anything further that we find. Would that be okay? All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening under public comment? All right, seeing none, we're going to public hearing. I'm going to give Ms. Davis a chance because, all right. Open the public hearing on Area 51 Bar and Grill liquor license application. Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, on August 9th, 2022, the city received an application for a new liquor license for Area 51 Bar and Grill. This is actually not a new liquor license. This is an expired liquor license from 2019. The applicant originally applied back then and was successful in getting our blessing. However, due to the pandemic, they ended up not opening. The OLCC has required them to go back through the submission approval process again. So they have resubmitted their application. Again, consistent with our check last go around, the police have done a background check and find no reason to recommend denial of the application. And the Kaiser Planning Department finds the location of the establishment to be properly zoned and has no additional comments on the application. So with that, the staff recommends that you approve the application. With that, is there any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Wood? Seeing none, Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Wood, so I enlarged it to over 200%, the application, and I put my reading glasses on, but I still don't, the business hours and the outdoor area hours don't seem to jive. For example, their business hours are 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, which would be 10 in the morning until noon. And then if you look over on the outdoor area hours, it's the same thing for Wednesday and Thursday, or I'm sorry, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on Friday and Saturday, their outdoor hours are 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if we approve this, I just want to make sure that the hours are actually correct if it matters.
Good catch.
Madam Mayor, I can speak to it.
Chief?
The only thing the city does is look at the location for any criminal activity. If they want to be open 1 hour a week, all of that's between them and OLCC.
Are we going to alert them, though, that they might want to take a look at this before it goes to OLCC? Because that was a very good catch.
We can definitely do that.
They might appreciate that. And that AM, PM thing, I know it catches folks. That seems like that's at night, so therefore that should be midnight, and that is often misunderstood. But yeah, being open, not at all, 12 p.m. to 12 p.m., I think would be a little limiting. All right, thank you. So the applicant will be alerted to that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is there anyone here who would like to address the council in this matter? I don't believe we have anybody signed up. Nope, we don't. Going once, going twice. All right. Anything else before we close? Public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the City Council recommend approval of the application for Area 51 Bar and Grill liquor license under the guidelines as established by ORS 471.178 and the ordinances of the City of Kaiser.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council recommend approval of the application for Area 51 Bar and Grill liquor license under the guidelines as established by ORS 471.178 and the ordinances of the City of Kaiser. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously and send it back for edits. All right, that concludes public hearings for this evening. We will go on to item 8A, which is the Community Prosperity Grant. And Mr. Woods, I go to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. At the last meeting, you requested that I bring back some information for you regarding this. To give you a little bit of background on the Community Prosperity Grant, this year, for the last several years, the county has given us $15,000 a year to use primarily for economic development kind of activities. When we first received the money, we used the initial funds to provide small business community type grants in response to the pandemic. Since that point, the county has said, let's extend this 2 more years. And we went back and said, what would we like to spend this on? Initially, this got sent over to the Community Diversity Engagement Committee. That committee discussed how best to use the funds, and their intent was to use the funds to find places for people to gather. The idea came out that why don't we use this to develop food pods or to reinvest into the city's focal points. And a third option was looking at somehow to create places for youth to gather. This went to the City Council, and at the May 16th, 2022 meeting, we adopted a resolution to allow these funds to be used for food pods, the development of. At this point, obviously, the devil's in the details. As we're putting together the application package, the question arose, should the cost of purchasing or upgrading a food truck be included and considered an eligible expenditure? So that really is the question of the night. Do we want to expand the potential uses of these funds to include food carts, the purchase of or the upgrading of a food truck? Obviously, there's some risk with a food truck. It is a mobile asset, so there's no necessarily guarantee that these funds would remain in Kaiser. However, with the initial grants of the community, of the small business grants, and we also ran into the same risk there that a few of those businesses did end up going belly up, and those funds were lost. One of the things to consider when we were looking at whether we wanted to expand the definition to include the food carts is really there is a limited number of spaces within Kaiser that could really hold a food pod. So we wanted to expand the definition enough so that we'd be able to get the funds out into the community in a reasonable manner. There are some spaces out there, but by going this route, we would definitely have a much better opportunity to get the funds in the community. So with that, I'll leave it to you folks. And again, the question is, do we want to expand the eligible expenditures to include food carts, food trucks, and the upgrading of those? So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm going to lead off with one. You said upgrades, so this would not be for the purchase of, or starting off fresh. This would be for taking one and making improvements in that food truck. Did I hear you correctly?
It could be both.
It could be a purchase, so it's not just an upgrade. We're talking about actually the procurement and outfitting of a
Correct.
food truck. Is that correct?
From what I understand, you buy a kind of a basic food cart truck, and then you have to spend quite a bit of money to get it upgraded to whatever you want it to look like.
It's just a lot of work. Some of my neighbors have the food truck businesses, and to do it right, it does take an investment, for sure. I'm going to Councilor Reed, and then down here, Councilor Starr. Okay.
So I know last meeting we did a lot of in my recollections, and none of our recollections were particularly dependable. So thank you very much, both Tim and Tracy, for going through and getting those minutes. I appreciate that. So it just seems to me that the spirit of this was to provide the space. And $15,000 is not a lot of money. And, we had something like this go up by the Copper Creek Mercantile where there was kind of a collection of food carts over there. And I think that was kind of what we would like to see more of. And so I think the spirit of the thing is to provide the infrastructure and not the individual, because, $15,000 even for one individual would not go very far. And I think rather the business, our business as a city would be to provide the infrastructure. And so that is what I'm thinking about that.
Thank you. And Councilor Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Wood, is there any way to put the stipulation that if it is a food truck upgrade or investment in a food truck, that it be required that it's a current Kaiser business?
We can definitely do that. That is one of the current requirements of our application. They must either reside in Kaiser or have a Kaiser business.
But it's an either or. You said, I just want to make sure, since we know the devil's in the details, that it's not a Kaiser resident would apply for the money to do a food truck at the Beehive out in South Salem. Can we make it a both and, or that the business is located in Kaiser?
Definitely, yep. I can definitely do that.
Mr. Johnson?
We can require that the applicant be a Kaiser resident or that they have a current Kaiser business. Some Kaiser business people don't reside in Kaiser, so you want to get that point settled down. But I don't know that we would have a good way of requiring that the food trucks stay in Kaiser.
Well, I'm not asking that the food trucks stay in Kaiser.
Okay.
I'm
I just wanna
asking
make
that
sure
they have a home, like the
start
business
at
is
least.
based
Yeah.
here in Kaiser if they're investing, right? So that's my clarification. I just would be concerned if the person lived here, applied for the money, and then took the food and sent it out to South Salem, and then we didn't get anything. There wasn't any benefit to Kaiser.
That's what I thought you said. And
Yeah.
what
I
I'm
think we can
saying
do
is
that.
I don't know how we can require that. We can
It's mobile.
require that they be a current resident or that they have an operating Kaiser business when they apply. But where the food truck goes after that.
But can you have a requirement that they have a business that is based in Kaiser? If we have a standalone business, I don't know, Sally's S'mores, just for example purposes.
As a brick and mortar location.
As a brick and mortar store, and Sally's S'mores wants to have a food truck. Do you see where the difference between having a brick and mortar in Kaiser and then investing in a food truck versus just living here and taking the food truck elsewhere?
Right, but they could then get the money and go elsewhere with it. And also.
But they still have a business. Sally's S'mores still has a brick and mortar store here in Kaiser.
But that scenario would prevent a Kaiser resident who doesn't have an existing business from being an applicant, which is fine too, just as long as everybody understands that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Council President Smith. Did you have something? Are you sure? I'm going to go Mr. Woodburn first.
Just the one thing that I just wanted to kind of remind everyone of is we used to license food trucks. We do not license food trucks in Kaiser anymore. We license locations and we issue a premise permit. So I don't know if there might be a way to connect it to the premise permit, but that I haven't talked to Tim or Shannon about at all. Just as the discussion was happening, that might be an approach that could be taken.
And the reason we did that was because we know that Marion County does the licensure for the food trucks, the mobile food vendors. They handle all of that. So there was no point in us duplicating that. They do a good job of it. And if they have a current sticker, they have complied with the requirements. So what we were looking at was making it possible for a property owner to have a food pod space on their property. They would know where that food truck, 1, 2, 3, whatever, would be safely able to park on their property and operate, where it wasn't blocking right of way, where it wasn't dumping down a storm drain, where it didn't have extension cords, things like that, where the property owner would say, like, Copper Creek, thank you, that was a great example. They have a site plan. They can have up to X number of food trucks on their property. They know where they're supposed to go, how they're going to plug and play, and that's all we need to know. We don't care if it's, well, we might care, if it's tacos, gyros, or chicken. You know, that's up to, you know, the owner of the property and the owner of the food truck to decide what is going to be profitable in that location. So we made it very simple with the idea that we were going to be very inviting to people who have mobile food vendor businesses in Keizer. So what I heard though, and then I'll come to you, Council President Smith, is that the Community Diversity Engagement Committee was looking for helping property owners establish gathering places that would allow for food to be a centerpiece of that. Like we used to have at the Kaiser Nursery, like Mr. Blackman has been trying to do at Copper Creek with having 3 there. I think they're down to 1 at the moment, but the season is kind of changing. But with that idea in mind, did I remember that part? And yes, you're right about the recollection thing. About creating those gathering spaces for community around food, because that is so inviting for people. So that's kind of where that was at. I'm going to go to Council President Smith, and I'll come back to you, Councilor Reed, and then Councilor Kohler. Did you have something? Okay, Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my recollection is this was about property, locations, improving those to make it more feasible to have the food. Where did this, like, we're going to upgrade somebody's car come into play?
We have gotten some community members interested, and they're interested in carts.
Paying to upgrade someone's cart. Okay, I'm not okay with that. I'll just say it like it is. If it has wheels and it can leave, or if you can put a bunch of money into it and turn around and sell it, I don't think that that's overall, I don't think that's the goal of any of us at this stage. I'm no problem with like creating a space or helping property owners create a space for a food truck to come in. But I will tell you right now, they come and go. Their success could be great, could be low, whatever, but that is a depreciating asset. But it could also be flipped very quickly from a creative individual. So I would just steer away from that, fine with the rest of it, but not putting money into someone's personal car. That's just not going to happen for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I agree with Councilor President Smith on this. And again, as more of the, just to give a little bit clearer picture in terms of the gathering places, I really like the Hero truck down there. And one of the things that there's really no places to eat, particularly in the rain. So something like an overhang or some kind of lean-to or some kind of, covered area. That is the kind of thing that would make these gathering places. And that's the kind of thing that these $15,000, and again, $15,000 is not going to go far, maybe even to make a lean-to, but if we can, kind of work toward that, that I think is the intent of this. And certainly in terms of building community, that is, I think, where we'd like to land on this.
So may I offer a thought, because apparently marketing this has been difficult to the property owners on River and Cherry. And I don't know how much outreach we've done to the property owners, because that's really where this is going to go. A property owner has to be willing to say, yes, I would like to diversify the use of my business land to include opportunity for food trucks to be able to come for either events or promotions or whatever. So one would be the outreach, partner up with the chamber to reach all the businesses on River and Cherry, especially the RCOD, the River Cherry Overlay District. If we are not successful or business owners really aren't interested in doing this, I would like to, because in my mind, this is about creating the community space, is to see if we could use these $15,000 for creating the food truck pads on city property. We're looking at Keizer Rapids Park, including that in our turf field project, making sure we have plug-and-play sites for mobile food vendors to be able to operate there. That might be something that would be a long-term investment for our community, that for anybody coming in and doing an event, you can have a food truck there and we have a place for you to plug and play. And I think that would create those opportunities for community gathering around food, good food. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to join with Elizabeth. I want something to benefit everybody. And when I think of a gathering space or something like that, something that you can, everybody will benefit from, not anybody more than, that's kind of that's what equity is, So I think it's a good idea, but I would like to stick to the common good, which is either a covered area, pads, whatever it takes. And by the way, as far as Keizer Rapids, I see that as a event place where they come. I mean, I don't see it as a place that'll always be because it's not very visible, but that's a good event place that we should have something like that for accommodations for them. And but as far as the help, I think it would be nice to be able to do something that would help everybody would benefit from. That would be helping the whole group. So that's mine. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. So, Councilor Kohler, thank you. Councilor Reed.
So I guess the question becomes, the one part of that is that preference will be given to businesses on River Road. And from what you said, that is true, but we might want to amend that part to say, with the possibility of making those, with developing that kind of thing on city property. Because right now, just on C5, preference will be given to properties on River Road. And, if we don't have any kind of demand for that, I would like to perhaps amend at least that piece to say, or other. Mr. Johnson, thank you for saving me.
Yeah.
So more like what we were talking, the River Cherry Overlay District, that would expand to Cherry and also to encourage outreach through the chamber to all the property owners along those that would be eligible to host a food truck.
And then if there was no demand for that, then.
Come back and have a conversation.
Yep.
Mr. Johnson.
I think that's what I was going to suggest. I don't know that there's a need to amend it now unless you want to add the food truck element. If council direction is going to be to take a direction that the mayor was proposing, which is try this first, work with the chamber. If it doesn't work, come back and look at city property. That's when we would come back, because we're not going to take that next step without coming back to council anyway. So I don't know that you need to amend the resolution right now, is what I'm getting at.
Okay. The other thing is that there may be some nonprofits that might be interested in also being able to have a food truck pod on their property. So if we're looking at commercial, it's one thing, but there might be some nonprofits in the River Cherry Overlay District that might be interested in having the opportunity as well. So that be allowable, that we could reach out to the nonprofits to be able to improve a space. Again, a gathering space within the River Cherry Overlay District that would be very central to our community. Are people good with expansion for Cherry? The entire River Cherry Overlay District, and to include more than just commercial properties, but also if there's a nonprofit that's interested. I'm thinking of community centers that we have in that district that might be interested. What do you think? Yes, no, maybe so? Councilor President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just trying to make sure I understood what Councilor Johnson was saying. Go with what we have right now, and then if a desire or somebody comes forward, because we haven't had any interest at all at this stage.
We haven't.
Has anybody?
If I may.
Yeah.
We held up on the application. We haven't started it. So
Okay.
the applications haven't been
Oh.
issued. It hasn't started because we had heard that there may be some interest in clarifying this.
Okay.
And so we held up on that, obviously, because if you wanted to go a different direction and allow for food trucks, we didn't want to send out the other one based on the previous resolution. So what I was stating was that, and I think this still follows, Madam Mayor, it just says a preference to River Road. So unless you want to just get rid of that entirely, we don't need to bring the resolution back because it's not limited to River Road. It just says a preference. So any place can apply.
All right.
If you want to make it, it's still wide open. It's just as a
Right.
preference.
Okay.
And one minor matter, let's make sure folks understand, it's $15,000 total. Is it 15 or 30 really? Are we doing it for a year?
Well, we have 2 years, so it's ultimately 30,000.
But the way the resolution currently reads, it's a maximum of 5,000 per applicant,
Right.
with the idea of spreading that. I want to make sure you understood that and you're okay with that part.
Okay, that's fine. And if we get a great project that seems to check all the boxes for what we've heard discussed and what we believe is going to accomplish the goals of how this money will promote community gathering, then we can also revisit that at that time. Do you have enough to go on now from our direction? All right,
Definitely, thank you.
Mr. Jones? Good?
So is it the consensus of council that no change is needed in the resolution?
Correct. And at this time, but that there is consensus to make sure that we are including, broad outreach on the River Cherry Overlay District.
We
Okay?
got it.
All right, fabulous. Thank you very much. That takes us to item 8B, which is resolution relating to wastewater service charges 2023-2024, repeal of Resolution R 2020-3128. Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, every other year, the wastewater task force, which is a joint task force with the city of Salem and several other cities in the area, get together and talk about sewer rates. It's really exciting. Anyway, the city of Keizer is part of a regional wastewater system that's managed and operated by the city of Salem. Every other year, they do a cost of service analysis. They update it for the costs that are specific to the city of Keizer. Based on that analysis, they come back and say, these are the rates for the next 2 years. Historically, we've been in the 2.5% to 3% increase rates every year. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the ongoing inflationary environment that we're in, they weren't able to come back with 3% this year. Unfortunately, we're looking at about a 5.6% and a 5.2% increase in wastewater charges during 2023 and 2024. This equates to an annual increase of about $24 both years for typical Keizer residents. And again, the reason for the larger than expected increases is due to inflationary pressure. The sewer system really is very much materials intensive. A lot of infrastructure goes into cleaning the wastewater. I think with that, I don't really have anything additional to add to this. Again, this is rates set by the city of Salem that we adopt. The revenues come in and it's a pass-through, so all the revenues that we receive go right back to the regional system in Salem. So with that, if there's any questions.
I was waiting for the pass-through. Sorry. Any questions on the staff report? All right. And according to the memo, although this is not a public hearing and there's no requirement for one, I would ask if there's anyone who would like to provide comment on this because it will raise rates for everybody in the city because we are all hooked up to the sewer system. So I would invite anybody who has comment on that to let me know and come on down. Yes, come on down and just name and city of residence so it gets on the record.
I'll just stand. Catherine Stone, citizen of Kaiser. I don't really have a comment, I just have a question. What choice do we have? I mean, inflation has hit us. We have to pay it, we have to clean it, we have to do it. So, I mean, what choice do we have? I'm just asking, do we have a choice? Not really.
Not really.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Choice is we can build our own treatment plant,
Oh,
Let's do that, Dan.
yeah.
which
Yeah.
would be a little bit more than 5% of the
Yeah.
rate.
Well, we do have, the treatment plant is actually in Kaiser. So it is regional, and it is regionally owned and operated, so although,
We'll just go condemn it and take it over.
okay, before we get in any more trouble, any other constructive comments? Mr. Wood?
Madam Mayor, City Council, I would say that typically the city of Keizer does make out ahead on these. Our rate increases throughout the last few years have been lower than a lot of the other cities that are part of the regional system. The city of Salem also indicated that, assuming there is some relief in the inflationary pressures, we should expect to go back to the 3% to 5% range going forward. So it is going to calm down a little bit after this initial 2-year period.
Thank you. And as we are looking at additional construction in our area, that's probably going to go to this side of the room. The sewer capacity that we have right now is sufficient for the multifamily that's going in and the infill that we have currently in our housing needs analysis. That is correct. I'm getting head nods from Mr. Lawyer and Mr. Witham. Who wants to take it?
Shane wants me to take it. The sewer capacity is, there's no issue with sewer capacity in Keizer. The system actually and the flows were calculated based on some industrial use in what is now Kaiser Station. Commercial use is quite much less than industrial use as far as sanitary sewer goes. So the system was built with that planned for. So by default, there's capacity already built in addition to other things that have happened over the years in the industry, primarily the water industry, low flow faucets, all of those measures reduce flow going to the treatment plant, increases plant capacity based on designs done 30 years ago.
All right. Thank you very much. Do I dare? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's up to you. I think it's just important for our citizenry to understand that we don't really have much choice in this. This is what we're given, and this is a pass-through thing. We are not saying, oh yeah, we want to raise your rates. This is something that's dictated to us.
Partly, but we do have representation. And in the past, many years ago, we were actually assessed a surcharge on our sewer bills, just because they could. And that was negotiated to be reduced and then eliminated. A lot of bad puns going here. Anyway, that surcharge no longer exists because we worked very hard with the city of Salem to get that one taken off. And that is no longer assessed to us.
Needed water.
Well, there is that too. Yeah, it's nice to play nice when we have the well system, which they have needed to take advantage of. But anyway, this is regionally owned and it is run by the city of Salem, but it's on behalf of all of the residents living within the service area for the sewage treatment plant. All right. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2022 relating to wastewater service charges, 2023 to 2024, repeal of Resolution R 2020-3128.
Second?
Resolution has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Item 8C, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign the intergovernmental agreement, joint litigation of climate-friendly and equitable communities rules. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. On August 1, the Council directed me to move forward with a joint appeal with other cities with regard to the climate-friendly and equitable communities rules adopted by Land Conservation and Development Commission, LCDC. The rules are CFEC, Climate-Friendly Equitable Community Rules, are now in place. There's different implementation dates, but they are now effective rules. As I had indicated at the meeting back on August 1, these rules are very complex and very, very burdensome. And in a lot of our minds, who I've talked to, colleagues at other cities, in a lot of cases don't really reach the goals that they want to. And I want to say at least once, and I'll probably repeat this at the end, I don't think anyone on staff or council is against the concept of having climate-friendly and equitable communities. And some of those rules do get at that, but so many of them don't. And as Commissioner Salazar said at the beginning, we discussed this last week as part of the parking discussion. Shane said there, and we didn't have consultant, it wasn't a public hearing. We didn't have the state consultants there either. Shane thought he'd take this piece of it, the parking part, and put together a nice PowerPoint and went through that. And I said, well, before you do that, why not at the beginning kind of, so they don't find out, oh gee, these rules you're talking about are appeals, because not everybody would hear that news. So I told them a little bit about that, and they asked the same question Shane asked a few weeks ago. Well, how does this work if we're moving forward? And the answer is this right now, until a court says differently, this is the law of the land. We're obliged to follow these rules. We're going to move forward in good faith with the state. They are paying for a consultant, at least the initial consultant. It's really only having to do with outreach, but we will move forward in good faith because that's the right thing to do and that's what we're required to do, unless and until the matter is stayed by a court. Again, it's not something that I would like to see happen, but we were unable to convince, and Madam Mayor can tell you more details than I can. And when I say I don't mean I. Other cities tried hard to have DLCD and LCDC hold up on the rules, but they refused to do so. So this is where we're at. The resolution authorizes the city manager and city attorney to move forward with the appeal. For the audience, the cities currently involved are Springfield, Medford, Happy Valley, Cornelius, Hillsborough, Troutdale, Tualatin, and Grants Pass, as well as Keizer. More cities or counties could join the appeal later. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And before we go to questions, I do want to reiterate that the work toward climate-friendly planning and development within our city is something that we've already done work on. This is not something that we're opposed. We've already done a lot of work. Our River Cherry Overlay District is a beautiful example of exactly that. And equitable communities, absolutely. We've been working hard to find a way to do some sort of housing production or some sort of means of finding a way to do affordable housing where more and more people can enter into home ownership. The issue with these rules is that, as Mr. Johnson pointed out, there's many elements in there that keep us from achieving those goals. And the cities of all different sizes and types, and plus the League of Oregon Cities and Association of Oregon Counties has been working diligently on this issue from the inception of the Rules Committee. And when it came finally down to it, they made some changes at the last minute, passed them and said, well, here you go, we have to deal with it. And we've done a lot of tremendous work, and I hope that we are going to be able to continue to do that. And I really want, again, my appreciation to the planning staff and the planning commission. With that, questions from City Council. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of observations and then a question. First of all, this representation of cities, very interestingly diverse kinds of cities, and I think that kind of speaks to the overall need of this. And also, I wanted to applaud the funding model of this, and we are getting a really good deal with this, and I appreciate that it was based on a percentage of the budget. And this is largely due to to Mr. Wood and his ability to keep us running within a very tight budget. We do amazing things on a tight budget, and this is one of the windfalls of being able to take advantage of that. So just wanted to mention that. My question really was, what was the main, or what were some of the reasons for people not to join this group? Why did people decide no? I don't even know if you know this, but I'm just curious as to why somebody wouldn't. So, yes.
A lot of it, and Mr. Johnson, if I may, because I've been in some of the league and then the Oregon Mayors Association, a lot of it was ignorance. So a lot of cities are finding out about this now, especially the smaller jurisdictions. And some cities thought, well, I'm under 10,000, it doesn't apply to me. And now they're finding out that, oh, yeah, no, read on page whatever in the fine print, it will eventually apply to you. And they're like, well, snap. So I think there's some of that, that really kept some cities from getting involved early on. At the mayor's conference, there was very robust conversation on this issue, and there were a lot of cities that were then starting to gear up to find out more. So I think part of this is timing.
Thank you.
And it will be very heavily discussed, I would expect, at the League of Oregon Cities coming in October. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Johnson.
I want to take this opportunity. Thank you, Councilor Reed. The funding was discussed early on in our attorneys group, and I asked, please make it based on budget, not population, based on our budget. And it wasn't my idea, I have to tell you that, but somebody else, and I just lobbied for that. It is estimated, unless things change, that we will pay based on budget 3.3% of the total cost. Other cities, the highest is Hillsborough paying 34%, Medford paying 18%, Springfield 16%, Grants Pass 13.5%. And then the other little cities are actually less than us or right around where we are.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is it not true that if additional cities join this group, that could be less?
Correct.
All right. Anything else? Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2022 authorizing the city manager to sign the intergovernmental agreement, joint litigation of climate-friendly and equitable communities rule.
Second?
Resolution has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8D. Ms. DePina.
Mayor Clark and council members, in front of you is a wage increase and accrued leave cash out option. Given the unanticipated changes in national and worldwide economic conditions resulting from recovery from global pandemic and other current events, including shortage of consumer goods and supplies leading to excessive increase in cost of living, as we've heard a little bit about in some of the other proposals tonight. The city proposes mid-year economic provisions to help our employees address additional hardships impacting them at this time. This action also supports the city's continued ability to be competitive with comparable entities for the existing staff and for recruitment of future staff. After receiving preliminary support from all of you, the City Council, and presenting a proposal to each of our unions, we're pleased to report both unions have confirmed tentative agreement to what we've recommended. The proposal includes a 1.5% pay increase effective October 10th, 2022, and a one-time option to cash out up to 80 hours of accrued leave as long as a minimum balance of 40 hours is retained afterwards. The cash out provision expires on June 30th, 2023. The cost of the wage increase for the remainder of this fiscal year is $132,000. The accrued cash out leave option maximum cost would be $395,000. That is if every employee were to cash out 80 hours, which is not going to happen. Some employees will choose not to do that at all, and we have a handful of employees that are brand new and don't have that balance and weren't here through the pandemic, so they aren't going to have a need. The cost of the wage increase is going to be funded with working capital in excess of what was originally anticipated, carried over for the fiscal year of 21-22, so is within our budget. And the cash out of accrued leave will be funded with ARPA grant funds. The wage increase will use existing funds. With that, the staff recommends that the City Council adopt the 3 resolutions attached, providing a wage increase and accrued cash leave cash out option for KPA, Kaiser Police Association members, LIUNA members, which is Laborers International Union of North America, and our non-represented employees. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Great work on this. Mr. Johnson, can we move these in block?
If there's no objection from any council, you can move as put forth in the motion on the staff report.
All right, thank you. Any objection to moving in block? No. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt the 3 resolutions attached to the staff report authorizing wage increase and accrual leave buyout.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt the 3 resolutions attached in the staff report authorizing wage increase and accrual leave buyout. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to our consent calendar. Council President Smith, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are 3 items tonight on the consent calendar. Item A, resolution authorizing disposition of surplus property, 2008 VATCon combination truck. Item B, resolution amending resolution R 2021-3215, recognizing national observances and commemorative heritage months to add Indigenous Peoples Day. And item C is resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase 3 Dodge Durango, I'm assuming that's Durango, not Durange? Just checking, vehicles for the police department.
Are there any polls?
We have interesting officers.
We do. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendars A, B, and C.
Second?
Consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously before we get into any more trouble. I know, gosh, follows in the air or something. Let's go to other business. The time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Wood, does the staff have any other business to bring to us tonight?
Madam Mayor, City Council, I'm not aware of any additional business.
All right, thank you. City council, anybody want to bring any other business before the council this evening? Mr. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's been a little bit of discussion about using some ARPA funds for Kaiser Community Dinner. Is that on the agenda for next meeting?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Yes.
The other thing I'd like to propose is that for the parks tour, that we add an annual visit to the Kaiser Little Leagues Park, since that's on a contract and we don't really have anybody overseeing it. It'd probably be good for us to look at it at least once a year.
While I don't mind seeing it, we do have somebody overseeing it. That's staff is overseeing the execution of the contract. I don't mind going out there, but yes, that is being monitored by our staff. So, just for the
I haven't seen
record.
it for a while. Has everybody seen it?
I go by once in a while, just for kicks and giggles. But no, this is, the contract is being managed by staff. So I just want to be clear on that. But if people would like to recommend to the Parks Board that we add a visit with the Little League Park, I'm not opposed to that.
I think it would be good to do.
Yeah. And anybody can drop by. It is open for the public to observe. Okay? Okay, staff updates. Mr. Pina, anything else tonight?
I would share that we have 4 recruitments out right now. One is closing tomorrow at 5 p.m. That's our on-call community center event host. We have 2 closing on the 22nd, activity and event scheduling coordinator and community center assistant. And then on the 29th, our public works administrative technician closes. I invite you to encourage anyone that you think would be a great addition to our team to make sure they get their application in. Contact the HR department if you have any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Wood?
The only thing I would add this time is folks, start using your water now. If you have any projects that need a lot of water, please plan on doing it within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The sewer reset period will start October 1st. So if you want to save on your sewer bill, start now. So use all your water in the next couple weeks. Thank you.
Always a good plug. Ms. Davis?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
All right. Chief?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Lawyer?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Witham?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Johnson?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Council member reports. I know if I start on this end, it's going to be pretty quick with Councilor Duran.
I have nothing.
I hope you had
I was not available last week.
Oh, that's right.
a great vacation.
I
Welcome
did.
back.
How'd it go?
Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine will be brief as well. I was out of town on business last week, but other than that, I enjoyed my very first parks tour. And then I love the art. It's nice to look at.
Lovely.
But I noticed we have 2 more panels remaining. Just a thought.
Working on it.
All right, good. Thank you.
Those are coming, for sure. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have anything other than my daughter did get married, so that's done. Yeah. Thank God. So back to real life.
That's it. Congratulations. It was absolutely
money left?
beautiful. Yes.
Barely. I'm looking to apply for one of those jobs.
Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There've been a number of places I've been in the last couple of weeks. 9/8, I attended the Latina Business Alliance meeting where we talked about paid leave for Oregon. Very interesting discussion. Also, that same day, I attended the Volunteer Coordinating Committee where we got the recommendations for the new people, or most of them re-upping. I also, for the VCC, in our next October meeting, we'll be doing our first full committee training. So that's on October's VCC meeting. Also that same day, I went to the West Salem Keizer Neighborhood Association, had an interesting library discussion. 9/12, of course, was a parks tour. 9/13, I had an opportunity to go to the Withnell Family YMCA ribbon cutting. 3 floors of fun, an amazing, amazing accomplishment. The hard part for me was to see all the neat things that they're doing there and know that we don't have a space to do anything like that here. So I will push again in the near future to expand our urban growth boundaries so we'll have some space to do something. 9/13, I went to the Clyde Creek Watershed Council meeting. There will be an October project at the Wallace House. Details to be announced soon. 9/14 of the Chamber Board meeting, looking forward to the Turkey Dash coming up. And thanks for all the Chamber has done for Kaiser Fest and Chamber. Looking forward to finding a permanent location for Kaiser Fest at Kaiser Rapids. And I think they have some meetings put together for Mr. Lawyer, if I remember right. Also, 9/14, I attended the Aware Food Bank groundbreaking in Woodburn. In 16 August 2021, an arson set fire to the food bank there, destroying the building and all of its contents. A ton of work has been done, and they did their groundbreaking on the 14th. I look forward to seeing how that's going. They hope to open September of 2023. On the 14th, I also attended the SIDCOR luncheon with Mayor Clark. And then I attended on the 14th, the Planning Commission, which was a very interesting meeting. And that's all. I encourage people to look at the upcoming Kaiser Community Dinner at St. Edward, and plenty of other meetings to go to, but I probably said enough today.
All right, thank you very much. There's been a lot of great celebrations recently too, especially with these ribbon cuttings and getting projects moving forward again. Very exciting time. Thank you so much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also was able to tour that YMCA facility, and it is beautiful. We are very fortunate that we have the Croc Center, at least, very close to us, but this was really an impressive effort community-wide. Tomorrow, we have Trashy Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 at Wallace House Park. And if you're interested in joining us for that, there is a registration online on the Kaiser webpage for that. So I figured it involves the Stormwater Committee and the West Kaiser Neighborhood Committee. So I'm on both of those, so I figured I should go. So Kaiser Heritage Foundation, we met last week, and we are going to be fine-tuning the bylaws to that, and a lot of really good work going there, a lot of major projects, a lot of major planning, and really good stewardship of that building. There is a League of Oregon Cities Women's Caucus Zoom meeting at 9 a.m. this Saturday, and that I think is going to be mostly in preparation for the League of Oregon Cities meeting, annual meeting. We have Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association meeting coming up, and really look forward to seeing that get off the ground, and that's on the 28th. So yes, the 28th at 6:30 here in this building. So look forward to that. And then on Saturday the 30th, Friday the 30th, and Saturday, October 1st, is the Marshallese American Network for Interacting Together. And really excited about this. I am the Islander Club Advisor at McNary, and just a wonderful Islander community in this area. And so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be in Main Street Park in Monmouth. And that is it for now, so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And it was a lot of fun doing the Music Man show with you and a cast of 65 other performers plus a tremendous directors and crew. So, and all our nonprofits that were supported through that process. So anyway, it's a fun show.
Yes, absolutely.
Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also went to the YMCA open ribbon cutting, and that was it was actually really exciting. I know something that happened is somebody introduced me to Peter Courtney, and I told him that of course I know Peter Courtney. I told him that I played basketball with him right here at the Y in the early '80s, and then I told him he's a cheater. He cheats. Anyway, by the way, that was wonderful, and I tell you, they when they say for everybody, they meant it. I mean, some of the exercise equipment, you can move the seat out for accommodate handicapped folks. I mean, it's well done. And the best thing to me was the track on the roof. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's covered. That's just amazing. But anyway, that was one of the things. I also attended the parks tour, and kudos to Tracy for doing such a great job for the accommodations. She's done it year after year, and I just want to thank her for all the work she's done. I attended the Hispanic Heritage Monthly Breakfast, which is at the Convention Center, was amazing. Councilor Nordike and Councilor Gonzalez did the welcoming, and my good friend Teresa Alonso Leon was the keynote speaker. It was fabulous. Well attended, and it was awesome. Anyway, the open house for the fire department's coming up on October 10th. Mark your calendars. That's always a lot of fun. It's really good for kids too, by the way. There's a lot of good stuff for kids. I attended the McNary soccer game, and by the way, McNary has two teams that are rated #1 in the state: our volleyball team and our soccer team. I left before halftime, and we were ahead 5-0 in soccer. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, man. So they're really good. Kudos to McNary and all the sports, by the way. Girls volleyball are fantastic. I attended the Doug game, and that was kind of fun. I want to say something about the press that we got on some of those students that said some things that were not very nice about Mormons. And as a Doug fan, I was offended by any crazy action like that, and it kind of dulled the great victory. The BYU fans are fantastic, by the way. There was a whole bunch a lot of blue there. Anyway, so those things that happen, it's not the typical fan. These are just some knuckleheads. I was a knucklehead once. So October 19th is going to be a candidate forum with all the neighborhood associations teaming up and putting that forth. And last year Gupser did one. It was well attended, and it was well done. So also I will be doing a thing for the nurses group up in Portland. They're going to make a donation to the Latino Action Committee for a speech on the heritage, Latino heritage, Hispanic heritage, and just kind of a little background and all that. So I'll be glad to do that. And again, thanks to everybody that is engaged in what's going on up here. And so I appreciate it. That's all for me.
All right, thank you much. Youth Councilor Sarmiento?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. McNary is doing well. The homecoming powder puff and homecoming football game are coming up soon, so that is exciting. And I will be reaching out to Whitaker and Claggett Middle School to hear from them. And NHS is hosting a trunk or treat next month for the kids in Kaiser. And that is all.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I hear Band Day was very successful this last weekend for the McNary band, going out into the community to collect donations to support our fantastic world-class McNary Celtic band.
Our band program is very good, so.
It is. All right. Well, thank you so much. I just have a couple of things to add. You've heard so much going on in the community, and I won't add on top, but I do want to say thank you to all of you for all the work you're doing in the community. On the 7th, I attended the Legislative Committee for the Willamette Valley Council of Governments. We're going to work on significant issues that are going to affect our 3-county region going into the legislative session, particularly funding for the councils of government. These are very important collaborations statewide, and we want to make sure they are all funded to be able to provide planning, small business loan programs, and other federal regional programs that need to be administered, and individual cities can't do this, especially as small as many of them are, and the COGs are really designed to do that work for the regions across the state. On the 8th, the Oregon Mayors Association Resource Committee, we are working on new mayor training, and we will be able to roll that out at one of the locations that will host that will be right here in Kaiser in January. Very excited to have elected essentials and the mayor's training right here at our Civic Center. I attended the remembrance for 9/11 at the Kaiser Fire District the last Sunday morning at 7 a.m. They just had a small ceremony to lay the wreath at the statue in front of the Kaiser Fire District, and I really appreciate them continuing to take time to not only remember, but to encourage our community to continue to work for peace and to work for appreciation for our first responders across our city. Also joined Councilor Kohler and so many community members and business leaders at the SEDCOR annual meeting. That's the Strategic Economic Development Corporation. The list of awardees, once again, was very impressive, from innovation to community engagement and involvement to new businesses. Chomp, that was a new one, locally created chocolate that it was just as good as advertised, just want to say. But it's just a fantastic celebration of the business community that we have. Again, our three-county region, Marion, Polk, Yamhill, working so hard to provide high-quality employment businesses that are very sustainable, both environmentally and economically. This last Saturday, I had coffee with Kathy, and I was happy to welcome our presumptive counselor-elect, Robert Hussman, who is running unopposed for position 5. So he joined a representative from the Kaiser Fire District Board, Betty Hart, Corey Filardo from the Chamber, Fire Chamber. Oh, and then Ramiro Navarro from Chariots talked about what's happening. One of the big things, of course, is our new free bus pass program for 18 and under. If you're 18 or under, you get to ride the bus for free. You don't have to show a student ID or anything. You are riding the bus for free. That's services being provided for all of the youth in our community. The last time we had this program, it was wildly successful, and already parents and students are very, very excited to be able to take advantage of after-school programs and other activities without worrying about catching one bus or another. They just have to get to a Chariots bus and they will get home or to work. Coming up, in addition to everything you already heard, we will also be having the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Government Board. We'll be meeting on Thursday no, that's tomorrow. Gee, today is only Monday. The Women's Caucus will meet tomorrow, the board, and then the COG board meets tomorrow. Legislative Committee meets on Wednesday. And the Homeless Alliance meets Executive Committee on Thursday, and then the full board will meet the following week on the 28th. And the other thing I want to point out, and I think I already mentioned it at the October 3rd meeting, I will be out of town celebrating with my family the wedding of my niece. So Council President Smith will be presiding over the meeting on that date. That's all I got. All right, anything else? Agenda input, October 3rd, 7 p.m., regular session. Council President Smith will be presiding. October 10th at 6 p.m., our work session will be on the Marion County Health presentation on the mobile crisis unit. And we've been hearing a lot about this. They're talking about cahoots in Eugene. We have LEAD, the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program here. Fantastic opportunities to continue to improve services for people in crisis in our community. And then October 17th at 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. That is all I have. Anything else for the good of the order? Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I forgot, and I don't want Meredith mad at me, but we had Kaiser United lunch today, and it was well attended. The food was fabulous. I think it was Adam's Ribs. I don't know, somebody.
Yes, it was.
The barbecue was really good. Anyway, so I just want to make sure that I mentioned that. I forgot it. But,
all right.
Great discussion about everything from the library to citizen involvement. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Really appreciate Kaiser United. All right, everybody. The time is 8:20. We are adjourned.
Good job.